Until I was 7, I had a sister called Elisa. We lived in a room that smelled of bleach and sweat, a small bubble of plastic taped to the studs like a wound on the house. The plastic rustled when the heating clicked. It clung to the walls and the mattress, and to the edges of our ribs. Our windows were painted with a fat black hand. No light could come through, only the press of shadow. Outside that shadow, the world went on, children laughing, wind in the maples, the sun as bright as an open eye. We were taught to fear it. Father wore a mask and gloves even at home, as if the air itself might bite. He called us sick in the softest voice, the kind that lays down rules so you cannot argue. Hereditary, deadly, fragile. He said he cleaned our toilet bucket like a priest dealing with sin. Mother wore gloves too, but when she read us stories, she sounded like a woman cataloging colors she could no longer see, words that tailored themselves to the lines of our confinement. Sometimes she would come close enough that I could see the tremor in her hand. Once I saw her leave for the door with the keys and then stop, one finger on the knob, as if she were listening to a thing behind the wall. Dad taught us a litany of prohibitions. Ignore the grimaces on the wall, he'd say. If you look at them, they'll eat you. There were marks on the sheet, plastic shapes pressed against it from the other side, smudged like a child's attempt at faces. In my small, obedient mind, the faces breathed. At night, I would wake and imagine them leaning, blowing cool breath through the plastic. The bed was a single mattress on the floor. We were small enough to curl together to feel less like two separate things. The punishment was precise. Kneeling on corn kernels until my knees bled, the click of the belt, the particular way Dad would press his forehead to mine and tell me to pray until my voice dissolved into the hum of the heater. Once, when I tried to whisper to Elisa that the faces were moving, Dad slammed the door and banged the wall so hard the plastic shrieked. He told us that if we obeyed, we would live. If we resisted, the grimaces would have us. The room became the measure of truth. We had no friends, no schooling beyond a thin slate of arithmetic, and Bible verses read in a voice that missed the vowels. We were taught to speak softly, to shrink to the size of a whisper. When food came, it was like a test, small and exact. I learned the shadow of hunger so precisely I could tell the hour by it. The day the door was open, I thought it was a trick. The crack was less than an inch at first, enough for light like a tongue to slip in. Mother stooped, as if to tighten a seam, and for a moment we could see the neighborhood, grass so green it hurt. Then she was called back, and the door left ajar, the tongue of sunlight widening until it burned our eyes with all the colors we had been denied. The sun was loud. The air tasted of roses and oil and the ordinary, clean smell of summer. We pressed our hands to the frames and resisted the urge to push away from the plastic like a trapped animal. Outside, the world made no apologies. We ran to the neighbor's garage and asked with crooked fingers, and the silence taught into us to ride the boy's bike. The woman who answered the door looked like someone who had been pulled abruptly awake. "So, whose children are you?" she asked, her voice a dock for our drifting. We pointed at the blackened house like a child's answer to a riddle. Her name was Annette. She brought us cookies and a chair without plastic. When she asked about the house, Elisa did the small, halting words she had learned. Disease, no outside. The neighbor's phone rang quickly. We saw the shape of panic in her mouth. Then there were knocks that didn't sound like the house. Dad's shadow leaned in the doorway and called us home as if nothing was wrong. Annette moved faster than any quiet world had taught us. She dragged us upstairs and told us to sit. Men in uniforms filled the doorway, 2 officers and a woman who talked with a voice that made our names sound like promises. They asked questions. Nobody wore masks. The officers took our parents in handcuffs. The plastic on the walls flapped for days like something breathing. For the first time, we slept in a bed that wasn't made of floor. At the hospital, we were cataloged and photographed and called by names that didn't fit the shape of our mouths. Later, 2 women came to the door and cried into our hair. They called us Bella and Amanda, names that opened like drawers to other lives. They told us we had been stolen years ago from a nurse who couldn't keep us. The story was smooth and believable in the way adult stories are. We were told that the life behind the black paint was a lie. I accepted the new life, the way you accept clean sheets after fever. I memorized toothpaste and supermarket light and the grammar of small talk. We went to counseling and learned the names for our nightmares. Yet the plastic of that old room had left its smell on the inside of me. I still jerk awake from small, impossible noises. The whisper of plastic, a soft tapping at a window painted to keep faces out. Sometimes, in the dark hours, when the other world presses close, I can almost see the grimaces again wider than they ever could be. Mouths not of human flesh, but of the things that happen when someone believes so hard they can make monsters. I am Bella now, nearly 18, moving toward college in the autumn. Elisa Amanda holds my hand like a compass, and we go to therapy together, learn to name the tremor that runs through us when a neighbor knocks late or a car idles. Sometimes, when the house is quiet, I think of those grimaces pressed close to the other side of the plastic and whisper into the dark as if to test a myth. If you invent a monster and feed it your belief, who then is the captive? My answer is a long, soft thing. The faces never forgive curiosity. They only learn how to wait.